Epiphone versus PRS. Two iconic brands, one ultimate showdown. Today, I'm putting the Epiphone Les Paul Standard and the PRS SE DGT head to head to see ultimately which guitar delivers the goods. From build quality to playability and sound. I'll show you what each guitar brings to the table and share which one feels like a winner in my hands. This is a battle you don't want to miss, so let's dive in. Both of these guitars are designed as more affordable versions of higher end models. The PRS SE DGT takes its inspiration from the PRS DGT, a $4,000 flagship that's known for its incredible craftsmanship and versatility. On the other hand, the Epiphone Les Paul Standard is a budget-friendly take on the iconic Gibson Les Paul Standard, which comes in at around about $2,700. These budget models aim to bring the essence of their premium counterparts to a more accessible price point. And do they even deliver the quality you'd expect at this cost? So let's start by taking a closer look at the build quality of each guitar. When it comes to the build quality of the PRS SE DGT, I have to say I'm really impressed. Straight out of the box, there were no quality control issues to speak of. The guitar was set up well, with no sharp fret edges, and everything felt exactly how it should. The gold top finish is stunning. There are no blemishes in the paintwork, which is something I always check for on a guitar at this price point. The hardware is solid with no issues at all, the tuning pegs work as expected, and the overall craftsmanship is excellent. Now I know this is part of the PRS SE lineup, which is their more affordable series, but you can tell they've still taken a lot of pride in its construction. It still carries the PRS branding, and even though it's a cheaper model, you can absolutely feel the quality that PRS is known for. They've really put their stamp on it, and it's clear that they have faith in this guitar, and honestly, so do I. Unfortunately, my first impression of the Epiphone Gold Top was disappointing. Right out of the box, I noticed a few issues that shouldn't be present at this price point. The nut had shifted, causing the strings to sit in the wrong place, and there were visible cracks on both sides of the neck near the nut at the top. To top it off, the volume knob was loose and just rattling around inside the box. There were no quality control inspection stickers from either Bax Music or Epiphone, which didn't inspire confidence. That said, once I looked past those initial problems, the overall build quality was acceptable. The fret edges were smooth, which was a pleasant surprise, and the guitar feels solid in hand. It's interesting to note that this guitar is made in China. Considering the price point, I was a bit surprised by that. Not because guitars made in China are inherently worse, there are some great instruments made there, but when you're paying almost the same price as a PRS SE, which is built by Cortec in Indonesia, it does raise some questions. The Epiphone feels comparable in build quality to the PRS, which is impressive in some ways, but also concerning because you'd expect a bit more value for a guitar made in China, where production costs are generally lower. Plus, the PRS SE includes a gig bag, and the Epiphone doesn't, which adds to the sense that you're not getting quite as much for your money, and you're possibly just paying more for the brand name. When it comes to playability, the PRS SE DGT Gold Top really stands out. First off, it feels lightweight, which makes it comfortable to play for extended sessions whether you're standing or sitting. The cutaway design is really well thought out. It provides easy access to the higher frets, which is great if you're playing solos or more intricate lead parts. The hardware feels solid and reliable. The floating tremolo bridge is comfortable to use and does a good job of staying in tune. That said, it does add to the setup time, especially if you're changing string gauge or tunings, since you'll need to adjust the springs in the back. It's probably better suited for intermediate or advanced players, particularly if you like to use the tremolo bar a lot, because it will knock the guitar out of tune. However, if you're a beginner, you could simply leave the bar off, or get some help setting it up when you change the tuning or the string gauge. The neck is thinner than I expected, but it's very comfortable, and it's super easy to play. Even though it has a gloss finish, which is something I typically don't prefer, I had no issues with it at all. It felt smooth and natural to play on, and it's comfortable even in a classical seated position. In terms of tuning stability, it holds up relatively well, but I found the provided string gauge to be a bit thick for E standard, especially for my preference. I personally tend to be a bit heavy-handed, and I was occasionally knocking it out of tune. That said, the fret ends are beautifully finished, and transitioning between frets feels effortless. Overall, this guitar suits multiple styles of playing. Whether you're strumming chords or shredding leads, the neck and fret access won't hold you back. It's a great option for players who want versatility without sacrificing playability and comfort. When it comes to playability, the Epiphone Gold Top has some strengths, but also some limitations, especially when compared to the PRS SE DGT. The neck is thicker than the PRS, but not quite as chunky as a standard Gibson Les Paul, which is actually a good thing for me since I'm not really a fan of super thick guitar necks. It feels comfortable enough, but it's definitely a different experience to that of the PRS. High fret access is one of the areas in which the Epiphone falls short, I think. Like most Les Paul style guitars with a set neck, the access heel joint is a lot larger, which makes it harder to reach those higher frets. Now this is something I'd expect from this style of guitar, but if you're someone who plays solos and needs easy upper fret access, it might be a bit of a deal breaker. The scale length is also worth mentioning. The Epiphone's 24.75 inch scale length is shorter than the PRS's 25 inch scale length, which isn't for everyone. This shorter scale affects string tension and playability. Your preferred string gauge might not feel quite right on this guitar. Personally, I'm not a fan of how it changes the feel and the tension, but that's subjective and it might be fine for other people. On the plus side though, the fret dressing was good and there were no sharp edges, so it's easy and comfortable to move up and down the neck. If you love the Les Paul style and look, this guitar might suit you just fine. But for me, it doesn't really fit my playing style. I feel the design limits what you can comfortably play, particularly solos, because of the high fret access and the shorter scale length. And while it does have 22 frets, same as the PRS, the scale length will make a noticeable difference in this case. Now let's talk about the sound quality. For this test, I recorded clean, crunch, high gain and lead samples so we can compare both the pickups from the PRS and the Epiphone. The PRS SE DGT features DGT S pickups, while the Epiphone Gold Top uses Pro Bucker pickups. The PRS DGT S pickups lean slightly toward a modern, articulate tone with a bit more clarity, while the Pro Buckers in the Epiphone deliver a warm, vintage vibe that complements the classic Les Paul style. Both guitars are versatile enough to handle clean tones beautifully, but the PRS does have a slight edge in output, which might appeal to players who want a bit more bite in their cleans. When it comes to crunch tones, the PRS pickups stand out with their slightly hotter output, delivering a crisp and articulate sound that cuts through the mix. The Epiphone Pro Buckers, on the other hand, bring a warmer, more vintage-inspired crunch. But the PRS might appeal more to those players who are looking for a bit more edge, while the Epiphone nails that classic rock vibe. The PRS pickups offer a tighter, more modern sound with excellent clarity even under heavy distortion. The Epiphone pickups deliver a thicker, more rounded tone which works really well for classic metal or rock styles. The output difference between the two becomes more noticeable here, with the PRS sounding a bit more aggressive. And for lead tones, both guitars shine in their own way. The PRS pickups provide smooth, articulate sustain with great note definition, making them ideal for modern solos. The Epiphone pickups, particularly the neck pickup, stand out with a warmer and more creamier tone. This is partly due to the shorter scale length, which places the neck pickup closer to the fretboard. This gives the Epiphone a more vintage feel. It's perfect for those seeking that classic soulful lead sound. Overall, both these guitars sound fantastic, especially when you consider that they are budget models designed to emulate guitars at much higher price points, around $2,000 or more. I'm genuinely impressed by both the PRS SE and the Epiphone 50's Les Paul Standard Gold Top. They each bring something unique to the table, and I'd happily play either of them. That said, when it comes to personal preference, my playing style leans more towards high-gain metal sounds, which the PRS handles exceptionally well. Its hotter output and modern clarity just fit better with the heavier tones I tend to go for. But honestly, if you're into classic rock, blues, or vintage tones, the Epiphone might be a better fit for you. It really depends on what you're looking for. Both of these guitars are priced at a similar price point of under $1,000. But when it comes to what you get for your money, I'd say the PRS SE DGT Gold Top offers more bang for your buck. It feels premium in every way, from the build quality to the playability, and it even includes a gig bag which adds extra value. The PRS is made by Cortec in Indonesia, a highly reputable brand with years of experience at making excellent guitars. And considering this guitar is a budget version of a guitar that's meant to cost around $4,000, I'd say they've done an absolute stellar job of squeezing so many premium quality features into what is essentially a budget-friendly affordable guitar. The Epiphone, on the other hand, is made in China, which feels like a bit of a letdown considering the price point and that it doesn't come with a gig bag or any bag at all. Now don't get me wrong, it feels great. If you didn't know it was made in China, I don't think you'd be able to tell, but once you do know, it's hard to ignore the fact that you might be overpaying for a guitar that in some ways should cost less, possibly even half the cost. And if you remember, mine came with some quality control issues, cracks in the neck. This specific Chinese built guitar lacks the quality control and the specific attention to detail, comparing it to the PRS, which is made by Cortec in Indonesia. Overall, the PRS feels like the better deal, offering a higher quality build, more premium features, and added extras like a gig bag, which ultimately makes it the more reliable and versatile option for basically the same cost. So ultimately, both guitars indeed have their strengths. The Epiphone nails the vintage vibe, and the PRS brings modern versatility and premium features to the table. They both do an incredible job of providing affordable versions of basically super duper really expensive guitars. It's a great opportunity for people who want to play Gibsons or PRSs at a more affordable price point. So check out the links in the description for the best deals for both of these guitars. But ultimately, the PRS wins it for me. It's a clear standout winner. It just suits my style better. What about you? Which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments down below.